Hey everybody, welcome back to my Eurovision React Review channel. So today marks the beginning of my summer break, which means that I now have time to make the sort of videos and content that I've been wanting to make the last few weeks, but I just not had the time. Now I'm currently on my balcony because it is really hot in Milan and I do not have air conditioning. Now the restaurant downstairs has decided that they are going to make every noise they possibly can, which they weren't doing earlier, so I'm really sorry about that. Anyway, today, this month is Pride Month. It is June, and this weekend it is Pride Weekend in Milan. It seems appropriate and fitting to just obviously make reference to the events that happened in Oslo not too long ago. It was harrowing seeing scenes that took place there in regards to a queer venue experiencing a terrorist attack. It's now officially been called a terrorist attack, that person deliberately picked that venue because it was a queer venue, and as a result of that, basically carrying out shootings to, I guess, challenge LGBTQIA plus existence. This isn't the first time, is it, that this sort of thing has happened and the LGBTQIA plus community has been targeted. It was inspirational to see the fact that despite the LGBTQIA plus community being told not to take part in Pride events for their security and safety, that a Pride march took place regardless. And I think that was to do with basically saying, absolutely not. You can never kind of push us back into the shadows. We are here. You can't cancel us. Sexual freedom is a human right. And it was amazing to see the fact that in that time of darkness, the LGBTQIA plus community came together and said no. So yeah, I think it's fitting to at least acknowledge that in regards to the nature of this video. So this video is all about acknowledging the fact that there is evidently a connection between Eurovision and the LGBT community. I mean, Eurovision has had a long-held fan base with the LGBT community, and actually the LGBT community, LGBTQIA plus. Sorry if I forget the acronyms. There are a few acronyms now, isn't there? And I will try my best to use LGBTQIA plus, but now and again I might forget. But yeah, the LGBTQIA plus has found a welcoming home in this contest as well. Now I'm fully aware that the contest is not designed specifically for the LGBTQIA plus community, but nonetheless, I think, the values of tolerance and diversity, which is what the contest is all about, I mean, they are paramount and important to the community. So no wonder why there has been a gelling of the community in the contest. So last year I did a video where I kind of talked through my kind of top 10 LGBTQIA plus moments of all time at Eurovision, really kind of stressing growing up with the contest, things that kind of stood out in my mind as iconic moments. So what I want to do this year is I just want to talk about Eurovision 2022. So I want to talk about national finals, and I also want to talk about the semi-finals and the grand final as well. And actually I've picked 8 moments, and actually these moments have been selected because they kind of epitomize, key ideas and values that I have or I associate with Pride. Now, before I kind of go through those 8 and talk through those 8, I feel a few honourable mentions need to take place in regards to kind of key LGBTQIA plus moments of Eurovision 2022. So first and foremostly, I think STEEN from the Netherlands, when she was introduced, I think both at the semi-final and the grand final, she held the Pride flag. So the visibility of the Pride flag from STEEN from the Netherlands was a great moment. Visibility of drag culture. I mean, Eurovision in drag. I mean, Conchita, right? But I mean, the song Rich Itch, Supernova in Latvia. Get this, kiss my hips, they don't stop without a doubt. Living like a rich itch on my playlist all today. That featured a drag artist. So visibility of drag culture. Mika's interval act. Now, obviously, Mika identifies as LGBTQIA+, and I've read a lot of stuff recently, actually, about how his coming out was actually quite difficult, and actually how he was forced to come out, and actually a lot of people were making assumptions about his sexuality. Now his interval act it was just a celebration of love, effectively. And actually I think that was an LGBTQIA plus moment in regards to its celebration of love, and whatever kind of, however that manifests and however that looks. I mean, come on, LGBTQIA plus moments, you have to make reference to Lolita Zero, right, from Lithuania. I mean, queer aesthetics and queer culture, I mean, the visualization of Lolita Zero kind of epitomizes queer aesthetics. So that was a great moment this year. Diversity of sexuality, I think AIDAN from Malta. I mean, his performance in Malta kind of highlighted bisexuality in regards to his engagement with his backing dancers, both male and female, and his music video. Equally, and I mean, that's a nice segue into Rus from Romania. I mean, that performance was pretty LGBTQIA plus, confetti thrown all over it. But there's a moment, obviously, both in his national final and he took it to Eurovision, where he too dances in a kind of flirtatious way with a male backing dancer. Which was great to see, and I know a lot of the LGBTQIA plus community loved that moment, and I think it was kind of an LGBTQIA plus anthem this year. And then I guess finally, visibility of same-sex romance through the medium of dance, and I think RONELA needs a shout out there. You know, I think she said a few things that would suggest that she is an ally to the community, and she made a conscientious decision to kind of shake things up a little bit. Albania is traditionally seen as a conservative country and has conservative attitudes when it comes to LGBTQIA plus issues in regards to identity, relationships, and she made a conscious decision to have that kind of same-sex romance moment play out through the medium of dance. Yeah, and I think obviously there were moments where obviously that was dramatized in regards to potentially it was a bit too erotic, but nonetheless, I think that was a key LGBTQIA plus moment this year. So those are honourable mentions. You're gonna have to bear with me with the noise. There's noise coming from down there. There's now noise coming from there. I don't know. It was silent earlier. Okay, so let's go through in order. So I'll say the artist, I'll say why I picked it, and then I'll talk a bit about why that artist was a key moment for me this year. Let's just start off straight away by saying Michael Ben David from Israel. Now for me, Pride, a key part of Pride is self-love, self-affirmation, self-acceptance, however way you want to say it, but effectively loving yourself authentically. Now, not everyone's journey towards self-acceptance is identical. I mean, it's a spectrum, isn't it? Some people are out and proud when it comes to their identities, and others struggle with theirs. But effectively accepting and loving your own identity, regardless of where you are on that journey, is part and parcel of Pride. Now, Michael Ben David, I mean, even if you take him aside, his song is all about that journey to self-love, to self-acceptance. You ready? he epitomizes self-acceptance, and he's very honest about that journey. It wasn't easy for him, but he's at that time, or he's at that place now where he loves who he is and he's proud of who he is. I mean, if we take the song itself, because I know obviously he's a contentious character. The sun is just beaming on me. It's hot. I know he's a contentious character, and I know he did things at Eurovision which really did annoy people. I'm just going to put that to a side. I'm not going to comment on that. But I'm using this opportunity to now talk about something that was slightly uncomfortable with the lead up to Eurovision, and that was evident internal homophobia in the gay community. Michael Ben David split opinion, and it was very evident to me that those that were kind of really vocal in regards to not liking him and his entry, some of it just felt that it came from a place of internal homophobia in regards to everything about him and his song are things which some LGBTQIA plus people don't love about the community or themselves. I don't have an issue with people saying, you know, he's talented, but the song is a bit average, or the song is too camp and I don't like camp sounds. But that wasn't what we were seeing from quite a bit of criticism for him. But anyway, I just want to kind of make a point that I'd noticed it, and it was uncomfortable for me to see Eurovision fans, but Eurovision fans that evidently identify within the LGBTQIA plus community, really going for him and reading the words that they're using. I could really do a segue now to some of the YouTubers and actually some of the words and phrases they used, which I didn't feel very comfortable with, but that's not my style. Okay, so I mean, his song that didn't obviously qualify and did divide opinion, but you can't ignore the fact that this was a hymn of positivity. The song is about self-acceptance and always be yourself. And actually, when you saw the music video, it added a different layer to it, because the song is actually about a journey to self-acceptance, which wasn't evident to me from the beginning. I mean, the video itself does show this kind of a story. And I mean, it's self-biographical, right? Of a gay boy basically coming to terms with accepting himself and basically facing difficulties. Now, I know Michael has had difficulties in regards to his relationship with his mum. He's been very honest in regards to experiencing bullying, in regards to having a higher tone in regards to how he speaks, and he experienced a lot of bullying about that. As he was growing up. But I mean, if you take lines within the song, right, keep your head up, this whole idea of resilience, being resilient as you come through this journey of self-love and self-acceptance, and you know, that line, no one brings me down, this kind of unwillingness to compromise, to be myself regardless. And I think that's the thing, even obviously when he was doing things that annoyed other people, there were some things, yes, I will agree that he should not have done, but there were other things that he was just being himself. And I kind of love that aspect of him in regards to his unwillingness to compromise of who he is. He's found out who he is, he loves who he is, and he's not going to compromise for anybody. I love that. That was one of my 8. This is in no order, right? My second LGBTQIA plus moment of Eurovision 2022 is ACHILLE. Another controversial character, and the reason why I've picked him is, for me, gay pride, or a key value or kind of idea associated with gay pride, is self-expression, the ability to express yourself authentically, so authenticity effectively. Now, as an artist, you know, do I love his music? No. I mean, I've given some of his music a go. Do I love his music? No. But as an artist, do I respect him as an artist and kind of love him as an artist? The answer to that is yeah. I mean, I love the fact that everything about him as an artist challenges the public perception of like the male ideal, right? So basically everything he does disregards this kind of patriarchal macho dictate, and I love that. I mean, everything that he does and everything that he says challenges this kind of the direct symbols of heteronormativity, right? And I think that was epitomized in regards to his performance in the semi-final as well. you know, he is, in regards to his music videos and his performances, openly sensual, and he does embrace sexual liberation. And I did really kind of respect and love the fact that we had this kind of male-on-male kiss. He has this male-on-male kiss. He kisses squarely on the lips, his guitarist. And this is the first ever mid-Eurovision performance where there has been a same-sex kiss. We've had other same-sex kisses in Eurovision. I mean, obviously, Krista Sigrid, right, from Finland, but that was at the end. But this was the first ever mid-song same-sex kiss. And actually, I'd read somewhere, I didn't know this, that it also highlights how far we've come, because I didn't know that when Tattoo represented Russia, that actually they had a rehearsal ready to go, a recording rehearsal, in case they decided to kiss when they did their live performance. They weren't prepared to show it, which I thought was quite interesting. They had a tape performance of a dress rehearsal ready to go as a backup if they decided to pull like a PR same-sex kiss during Eurovision. I thought it was quite interesting. I mean, like I said, as an artist, the values that he expresses, I'm kind of down with. This whole kind of, you know, open fight against toxic masculinity, this praise of sexual freedom, this kind of full self-expression. Now, I have read a few articles in Italy about, you know, to what extent is some of that like a marketing gimmick, or I guess if we use that kind of attack against Harry Styles, queer baiting. I really don't think it is. I mean, he was doing this well before Harry Styles is, and actually, queer baiting isn't really a thing in Italy. It doesn't really get you far. He is just genuinely being himself. I mean, if you take the song itself, and you look at the lyrics and you translate them, the song by its very nature is fitting for this current era that I think that we're experiencing, of this deconstruction of binaries, these binaries between, you know, masculine, feminine, strength, weakness. I mean, it's a track based, I mean, if you read the lyrics, it's a track based on the duality of man and woman, and it's about, and he talks about feeling like a woman and not worrying about the outside judgment, and even his aesthetics, what he's wearing, is quite feminine. I mean, I can't stress enough, I've lived in Italy for 2 years now, and, you know, these things mean something here. You know, an attempt of trying to put forward a new way of perceiving masculinity in Italy, trying to promote a greater degree of self-expression and authenticity. It's something Italy, most countries need it, right? All countries need it to a point, but certainly in Italy. For all those reasons, ACHILLE is one of my top 8 LGBTQIA plus moments of Eurovision 2022. Number 3, like I said, this is in no particular order. Number 3 has to go to Sheldon Riley, right, from Australia. Now, I've picked Sheldon Riley for all the obvious reasons. Of course he was going to feature. But for me, I've picked him because, for me, Pride, again, if I'm thinking about, you know, why Pride is important, or kind of values and ideas that I find kind of personally important with Pride, it is representation, LGBTQIA plus representation, and LGBTQIA plus role models. First and foremostly, it's not gone unnoticed. Now, this is the 3rd year running Australia have had a queer performer, because obviously the previous 2 years, Montaigne identifies as LGBTQIA plus. Sheldon is an inspiration. He's an inspiration for the younger generation growing up, and he is a great role model. I mean, he's very open about talking about the fact that he came out at a very early age, and the fact that because he was different, he experienced a lot of bullying as he was growing up. I mean, I've got a quote here directly from him. He said, "No one got me. I didn't fit in anywhere. When you're going to school and asking teachers why boys can't wear skirts, you know you're different." At one stage, I didn't want to talk to anyone. I thought, if this is what being gay is, I don't want to be that person anymore. Bless his heart. And this is what I'm saying about representation, right? The fact that actually it is so important that actually there is visible LGBTQIA plus representation for the younger generation, for them to realise that how they feel isn't weird, it isn't odd, that there are other people that they can relate to. I mean, many young people, and actually people of any age, have a difficult time coming to terms with their identities, right? Particularly young people, you know, questions like, you know, what if my family and friends don't accept me? What if society makes me feel like I don't belong? What if something happens to me because of my identity? And those fears are genuine. And I think that's why visibility and representation is so crucial. Because if a young person is questioning their sexuality, having a role model will help them become comfortable and hopefully proud of that identity. And that's obviously going to do wonders for their self-esteem as well. And, you know, where do young people go to find these role models? Luckily, Eurovision has put forward so many over the years. I read somewhere, what did Sheldon say in regards to, again, this whole idea of role models? He said about his relationship with Eurovision, that's it. He said, Eurovision completely changed my life. I come from a very, very religious family background, and I remember watching it for the first time. And even back when I was unsure if it was okay to love this performer, I tell people Conchita changed my life. Conchita, a role model for Sheldon. Because it was the first daredevil move that I felt in myself where I went, oh my gosh, this is so cool and it is so different. That adrenaline rush, I only have ever felt that when I watched Conchita for the first time. You know, Conchita is a perfect example of representation, you know, visual representation, and acting as a great role model for the younger generation. I think also, you know, for me, Sheldon epitomizes just the freedom to be yourself, without stigma and shame. And it evidently was a journey for Sheldon, because he talks about in regards to his mask. I'm not the same, no, I'm not he says the mask that he wears is everything that I would have loved to have owned as a little kid. I just love anything that sparkles. I mean, he's just being his authentic self, and because of that, he's a fantastic role model for the younger generation. And I actually am looking forward to following his career, to see what he does post Eurovision. My fourth one has to go to FADO BICHA. FADO BICHA. I was gonna research how to pronounce that, because my Portuguese pronunciation is awful. Now, the reason why I picked them is a key thing for me why Pride is so important, and that's activism. At the end of the day, this act is amazing. I've done so much research into this act since I've watched their performance at the Portuguese national final. They're amazing. I mean, basically, as far as what my research has taught me, they basically rewrite traditional Portuguese FADO songs into anti-discrimination anthems. Now, FADO, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right, that is that really famous Portuguese musical style. And it is a very distinctive sound. And what this act does is it rewrites lyrics of famous songs to talk about current social issues, particularly racism and homophobia. Basically, FADO BICHA is giving audiences a way to engage with social and political issues through their music. And they're very much vocal about wanting their act and their songs to be this kind of project, effectively, of basically telling stories and realities of the LGBTQIA plus people and their experiences. Now, I didn't realise that actually, I obviously knew what FADO meant, but I didn't realise that BICHA, again, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, is a homophobic insult in Portuguese. I didn't know that. But it's also apparently a misogynist word as well. And yeah, what does it say? It's a word of violence used to name the men who give up their masculinity to get closer to their feminine side, explains Leela, who's the singer who's non-binary. I think Leela doesn't identify as being a man or a woman. But this is quite interesting. The slur has been appropriated by some LGBTQIA plus people as an empowering term. We're reclaiming the name BICHA, as obviously this band has. They've incorporated it into their name, overcoming negative experiences of bullying and subverting what was once used as an insult. Absolutely love that. I think, you know, when you really start kind of researching this band and reading interviews and stuff like that, it is really evident that everything they stand for and everything that they do is about trying to give a voice to minorities and marginalised people. And I love that. And I think that's what Pride is about. Giving a voice to minorities and marginalised people, and actually acknowledging kind of how far we've come, but moreover, acknowledging that we've still got a way to go in regards to LGBTQIA plus representation, rights, visibility, etc., across the world. My next key LGBTQIA plus moment of Eurovision 2022 goes to the boy band Unique from Spain, who participated in BENIDORM Fest this year. And I picked this band because, again, one of the key things that I think is so important when it comes to Pride is visibility. And the reason why I picked this band basically is in reference to one particular thing that happened on stage when they performed their song, and that was the same-sex kiss between Matt and Valen. Now, I didn't know this until researching for this video, that actually there was an element or a small backlash when that happened, where some people said that the kiss was unnecessary, or basically they put the kiss in as a way of garnering votes. And apparently it was a week or two, but they finally came out with some statements about why they did the kiss, and basically challenging the fact that it was not necessary. And they were like, well, it was necessary. And, you know, they talked about the fact that, of course, society has changed, we're heading towards the right direction. But they also did highlight the fact that two boys kissing shouldn't be news, and people shouldn't be talking about it. And the fact that they said that they did it deliberately to almost preempt the fact that people were going to say something afterwards, to basically show that it does obviously still continue to bother some people. They said some lovely stuff actually in regards to justifying the same-sex kiss. They basically said, you know, through the same-sex kiss and some of the reactions they got from it, it is very evident that there's still a long way to go in regards to LGBTQIA plus rights, representation, equality in Spain. And they were saying that that kiss was a small part in this kind of fight for equality. And actually they made a point, and I think we forget this, like, you know, I remember, you do forget this, you get suckered into your own environment. I remember living in London for 9 years and always being really surprised with UK elections, being really surprised by Brexit, because you're in a bubble. And, you know, I've been to Madrid a few times, and it's an amazing city where, and Barcelona, where there's a great acceptance and equality for LGBTQIA plus community. But obviously there are other cities, there are other towns, there are other families, there are other mentalities in Spain, but in many countries, right? And I think that's what they were trying to highlight, that basically they've got this primetime show, they've put this kiss in, and I think seeing some of the reactions that they got kind of highlighted what they kind of wanted to highlight, and that is, for some people it did bother them. And actually we've got to realise that actually visibility of a primetime show still does bring out some aspects of society who aren't as comfortable, who don't accept LGBTQI community in regards to their equality. So I respect that. So for that, one of my top LGBTQIA plus moments of Eurovision 2022. My next top LGBTQIA plus moment of Eurovision 2022 goes to SENE from Finland. Now, he's an interesting person. I had to do a lot of research. I had to do a lot of Google Translate from Finnish into English. But the reason why I picked SENE is, again, I think a key theme that's important when it comes to Pride is basically, well, it's all about sexuality effectively, isn't it? LGBT, not always, but the majority of what LGBTQIA community stand for and why they've created a community and why they might feel that they are unique is bound in sexuality, in the spectrum of sexuality. So a key thing for me about Pride is sexual freedom and sexual liberation. Now, Isaac Senna epitomizes that fully in regards to his performances and also the lyrics of his songs. Now, I think the actual song, if you translate it, his song that he participated in UMK with, is about sexual liberation. But it's interesting, I managed to get 1 or 2 interviews with him where he's talked about sexuality, and he talks about the fact that he doesn't represent any particular group, and the fact that he actually opposes the compartmentalism of sexuality, this whole idea that you have to identify with being maybe gay, straight, bisexual, asexual, etc., etc. And he was really pushed on it in his interview, and he said, well, pansexuality, he said, it's a beautiful concept that doesn't necessarily require conceptualizing sexuality. You're just attracted to what you're attracted to. It's the person regardless of the gender, right? Again, it's quite interesting when you read I've seen 2 interviews, both of the same nature, basically asking about his thoughts on sexuality. And he basically says that people shouldn't have to explain their sexuality. The fact that we still live in a world where sexuality is compartmentalised. And yeah, he says, to quote him, it's useless to put people in frames. We're all unique, but in some ways we're all the same. Yeah, we're all human. I do think sexuality is a complex thing, right? I think there is a huge spectrum, and I don't think any one person fits exactly in the same place on that spectrum. And so the fact that we've got kind of these artificial groups to try and give names to parts of the spectrum is probably not ideal. So I sympathise with quite a lot of the stuff that he says. But yeah, anyway, in regards to his performance, his UMK performance and the lyrics of his song, sexual liberation, sexual freedom, is why I've picked Isaac Senna as one of my top 8 LGBTQIA plus moments of Eurovision 2022. 2 more. I mean, you can't talk about top LGBTQIA plus moments of Eurovision 2022 without talking about SYSTUR from Iceland. Now, the reason why I picked them is, now I know Ellen is openly gay, she's very open about her sexuality, but I've actually picked them because of their out and out allyship to the LGBTQI community. Part of Pride, and one thing that I love about Pride, is not only the LGBTQI community coming out and being visible, but I also love the fact that Pride also identifies and shows allies. And allies are crucial when it comes to creating a safe environment for the LGBTQI community. Now, Siga, now I spoke to Siga when I was in Madrid, and I interviewed SYSTUR. And I edited it out of my video because I didn't know whether she told people, because she was talking about how important trans was and how she felt it was really important to raise awareness of trans issues, and basically she felt it was really important as again, I didn't know she told people, but she is a mother so she has a son who's trans. And she said it was really important as a mother to talk about the importance of loving your child no matter what. And she says, you know, you must always support your children and love them unconditionally, which is absolutely true. But I edited the part where she said that her child was trans. But when she went to Turin, she said that. So people know that. So that's not news. I think everywhere Siga went, I think she had a trans flag with her, or had a trans t-shirt on, which was amazing. I mean, on the turquoise carpet, she had a trans flag, which was awesome. I mean, everything they did, every opportunity they were given, they took it when it came to advocating for the marginalised in society. And I just loved the fact that this band, at the forefront of this band at Eurovision, was all about advocacy for trans and trans issues, and I loved that. And it really kind of changed I'm so sorry. That noise is driving me crazy, and I'm hoping it's going to be picked up, so I am sorry. I'm meeting them in Madrid. I totally changed my perception of that band, and I started falling in love with their entry. Right. My final top LGBTQIA plus moment of Eurovision 2022 goes to Tone. Tone, I should have rehearsed or should have researched how to pronounce her name. Tone. Now, the reason why I picked Tone was, well, first of all, Tone is openly trans. But again, the reason why I picked these artists is regards to their link and connection with key things that I value when it comes to Pride and what Pride stands for. And for me, it's diversity. I mean, the LGBTQIA plus community is constantly an evolving space where effectively it's not, diversity isn't just accepted, it's empowered and it's embraced. And you know, whether you're, and there are so many different identities now attached with the LGBTQIA plus community: lesbian, bisexual, gay, transgender, intersex, asexual, non-binary, non-conforming, even allies. Pride Month welcomes all, and it opens its arms, because effectively Pride is about showing an abundance of love and opening your arms to anyone and welcomes anyone. Tone, Melodifestivalen, Swedish national final. She's the first openly trans person to participate in Melodifestivalen. I loved her song. I mean, her song is an anthem, isn't it? LGBTQIA plus anthem. She came fifth, didn't she? And she had moderate success. She had success with that song as well. She came, I think, 9th in the Swedish charts. What I quite like about this, particularly this song, it is a gay anthem, and it's got an amazing message. Tone said she hoped the song would remind people who have a skewed image of trans people that we are also human, noting, "I want to share this incredible song with people. It's incredible, you shared it, respect. But with a larger perspective, I want to spread knowledge about and represent my community." So knowledge about my community, and I want to represent my community. Now, being from the UK, I can't tell you how much over the past few years the trans community have massively become politicised. I don't know why. If you watched British TV and picked up a British newspaper, you would think that the trans community made up 50% of the population, with the amount of attention that have been given to this community, and it's more likely than not in a negative way. And as a result of that, it really has given a skewed image of the trans community amongst, you know, a significant number of people in the UK. So what I do love about Tone is the fact that she's gone to Melodifestivalen as a trans person and has put forward a positive image of a trans person, giving, hopefully, a positive representation of the trans community, which right now I really think it needs. Now, I can't talk about the perception of the trans community and trans rights in Sweden, but I can talk about it in the UK. And if there's any community that needs a bit of love and acceptance and actually support and out verbal support, it's the trans community, particularly in the UK. So trans visibility, and moreover Tone's trans visibility and the positivity, and everything about her in this entry can only be a good thing for the trans community. And we need more of that. Like I said, particularly in the UK, we need much more of that, because, as I said, the narrative of the trans community isn't being dictated by the trans community in the UK. It's being, unfortunately, dictated by people that actually aren't doing it to promote equality of trans rights. That's all I'll say. Okay, so I managed to kind of get through that, and I'm really sorry that was very talky, and I'm really sorry. I don't know how much of that you're picking up, and I'm so sorry about that. It's annoying me, which is annoying because this video should be just about love. But anyway, hopefully the quality of this video is good, because I think I've spoken for a very long time and I don't really want to re-record it. If you're still here and you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. Please do click the notification button so you're informed if and when I post videos. And yeah, until next time, stay safe. Oh, and happy Pride.